think so. I think I... That's great. Pardon me? Oh, no, okay.
Well, we still have about half the grads to come in, so.
After the grads are in, will it be fast or will we have?
It should be fast because we're behind schedule. Yeah. We do have some presidential, we have about 30 presidential guests to seat.
Oh.
So maybe when you see the presidential guests come in, then you'll know. Oh, true.
We'll play a piece during that.
You want to do the because we have about 30 presidential guests to seat.
Yes.
After the grads
Is
come
that
in.
okay with you? Yeah, because it's easy to stop and okay.
Oh, I had the faculty at one upstairs.
Is that all right? That's fine. Are you okay with that? But maybe we can raise our hand. And sometimes he pauses there, you know. But we'll go, if we have to repeat, I'd rather have, don't you think it works better? Yeah, you've got to remember to go back. Don't stop until we tell you. Well, it's new, Bob, in that we used to stop when he put the mace on. But I think it's better to give him traveling music until he gets to his stand. Yeah. Don't you think? Yeah, whatever he wants. Yeah, we'll just go, just plow. You're my eyes and ears, so, you know, just go straight back. Straight back, okay, straight back. Straight back.
No.
I don't trust this.
So you want me to see from there once they're all?
Well, yeah, see, mine don't mean a lot.
And then I'll just bring over to you.
I'd rather have mine up a bit than
Yes.
fussing.
Is there something I need to know, Paula?
No. Seems to be a delay.
Avoiding those high crack notes. Avoiding those high crack notes.
Oh. No, I said we've got to stop in the session. Let's do this.
That's what it is. Do you watch Downton Abbey?
Yes.
I'm gonna play Downton Abbey after. See if you recognize it.
Yeah.
It's called Story of My Life.
Go watch the hockey game tonight?
New York and LA.
New York needs to win this year.
They do. Where are they at? Where is it?
No, it's New York. They're on home ice tonight.
Did you watch the other night? Charlie was watching.
Really, both excellent.
He was so upset.
See him, you see, that's my problem. Is he gone out?
I declare that the 526th Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon to you all. I am David Wilkinson, Provost and Vice President Academic of the University. This afternoon, I have the great pleasure of acting as your Master of Ceremonies and of welcoming you all to this Convocation ceremony. Before we start the formal program, may I ask everyone in the hall to please switch off any electronic device that may ring or beep during the ceremony. I would now like to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Suzanne Labarge, to make her own welcoming remarks.
Welcome, honored guests, staff, faculty, families, friends, and most importantly, graduands. This is an exciting day for all of you who are graduating today, as well as for all those people who have supported you and stood behind you, and in many cases have had a key role in your being here today. You've achieved a great deal to get here, and you should all be very proud of your success and looking forward to what the future might bring. Congratulations, and enjoy the ceremony.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, who will be presenting our honorary degree recipient.
Madam Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present Robert Burgess. Robert Burgess is one of McMaster's own, a 1979 commerce graduate who would become an internet pioneer by leading companies that defined the standard for digital design on the World Wide Web. After working with Honeywell and DEC following graduation, Mr. Burgess became the first Canadian employee of Silicon Graphics, a startup in the emerging field of 3D computer graphics. He spent the next few years driving his Honda Accord around Canada, selling software developers on the virtues of a $200,000 computer. In 1990, he became the company's vice president of applications and moved for the first time to Silicon Valley. His return to Canada followed relatively quickly, however, when he became chief executive officer of Alias Research, a young public company with outstanding software technology, but significant corporate and financial issues at the time. His ability to turn the company around established Mr. Burgess's reputation, and in 1995, Silicon Graphics purchased Alias, and with Mr. Burgess as president, the company merged to form Alias Wavefront. The team Mr. Burgess assembled would go on to develop the 3D animation and effects software Maya, which won a 2003 Academy Award for scientific and technical achievement. Mr. Burgess moved to Macromedia in 1996, taking the reins of the company as CEO. He led Macromedia as it transitioned from its original business model, built around CD-ROMs, to become the dominant provider of interactive multimedia technologies for the Internet. Macromedia software, including Flash and Dreamweaver, became industry standards and quite literally shaped the Internet as we know it today, a dynamic visual medium and a palette for exceptional design and creativity. Mr. Burgess remained as Macromedia's CEO and later also chairman until 2005, when he shepherded the company through its purchase by Adobe Systems Incorporated in one of the largest software industry acquisitions in history. He joined the Adobe Board of Directors following the purchase and remains an active member of the board today. In addition to his board service with Adobe, Mr. Burgess is a member of the boards of NVIDIA and of Real Matters, a leading provider of property information services, as well as a board member and investor in several private companies. He also is part of the advisory board with OMERS Ventures. Mr. Burgess, who is chairman of the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, based in Menlo Park, California, has also volunteered with his alma mater as a member of the campaign cabinet for the highly successful Campaign for McMaster University. And in 2001, he received the Wayne C. Fox Distinguished Alumni Award from the DeGroote School of Business. Madam Chancellor, Robert Burgess is a visionary corporate leader and one of the people who had a hand in transforming the Internet from its text and clip art beginnings to the design-rich digital environment we know today. He is a proud and engaged McMaster alumnus, a committed volunteer, and a leader in corporate governance. I present Mr. Burgess to you so that you may, in recognition of his contributions and achievements, confer upon him the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Robert Burgess, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, in McMaster University with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations, Dr. Burgess. I would now like to invite Dr. Burgess to deliver the convocation address. Dr. Burgess? Are you there?
It sounds weird to me, too. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's really an incredible honor for me to be here to congratulate all you graduates on this fantastic milestone of your life. Change my glasses here so I can see. It may feel like the end of something to you, and it is, but it's also the beginning of something else. And I wanted to congratulate not only the students, but most importantly, your parents. Your parents went through all the challenges of helping you through school at all levels. But these parents, at this time, also had some very good fortune or some truly sick foresight. It's pretty common to hear about a successful person using the phrase that they were in the right place at the right time. Well, you parents happen to place your young graduates in exactly the right place at the right time. And I say this because the world is changing big time, and the speed at which it's changing is unprecedented in history. And the kids are in charge, and for some very specific reasons. It's happened before in the technology industry when kids like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates forever changed the world of computing. But now it's not just high tech. It's every discipline in every industry that's being turned upside down, basically because of phones. Every product, every management process, and every commercial endeavor is forever already changed. And it's in line with the design sensibilities that you graduates grew up on. They're different than ours. You youngsters are going to blow away the existing management hierarchy. You have cars, and the existing management has horses. The way this generation does digital is so different from older generations, it doesn't even look the same. I'm sure every family's had the same discussions many times around the dinner table about texting, where the parents don't want their kids on the phone because they want to interact and connect, only to have their confused child look at them and say, "But I am interacting and connecting." This way of connecting and interacting is becoming the way organizations get managed. It's not just social. So people who grew up in it are miles ahead of those who didn't. So we all have images and vignettes in our mind. People older than 40 or 50 call them memories, and you guys have some too. But yours are now digitally enhanced as you chronicle your lives, sharing photography and videos and everything via social media. It's never been done before. It's going to be fascinating to see what the result of that history is, for good and for bad. But that genie is out of the bottle. It's not a fad. It's a fundamental change in the way humans interact with each other and their memories. So I have one such vignette in my mind that I'd like to share. So I graduated in '79 from Commerce, but I had only spent 2 years here. I passed on Western Business School and came to Mac. I didn't know many people here, but fell in with a little kind of cult of accountants out of Sarnia and Port Colborne. Some of my buddies are here. Some I haven't seen since '79. We did assignments together, but we also played poker and went to Ramones concerts and so on. And then we all went our own ways, and we had families, had kids and so on. Then about 12 years ago, we invited them all up to Muskoka for a reunion. One of the boys at that reunion is here, graduating with his MBA today. Trevor Simpson would have been around 12, just starting to grow. And if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I'm sure some of you know him. I only met this boy once or twice, but I have an incredibly vivid video memory of him on that trip. We took them tubing at a very high speed, and Trevor wouldn't sit down. He'd figured out a way to hang onto the rope and stand on the tube. So all us adults were all on the boat yelling at him to sit down. And he wouldn't. What he yelled back was, "I feel the need for speed." So there are two great things here. First, learning to ignore authority at a young age is always good. And secondly, from a business standpoint, "I feel the need for speed" turned out to be prescient words to pass back to you. It used to take 40 years to wreck a company, and God knows there are many examples. Kodak famously invented digital photography and didn't commercialize it because of their dependence on profits from selling film. Sony was the leader in all these explosive new markets that we're seeing today and squandered their leadership. I remember a talk during which Martha Stewart, from the audience, asked the CEO of Sony why she had a different power supply for every Sony product. The CEO replied that he knew the answer, but it wasn't going to be satisfying. He said he thought that the reason was that the power supplies were profit centers for each of their divisions. So they were compromising the user experience for divisional short-term profits, and they were the experience brand. Sony stood for excellence in user interface design. 15 years ago, everyone used a Sony music device. Now nobody does. In its place, a host of great new companies that were created in the last decade. And that's the technology that you folks all use now to listen to music instead of Sony. It happened with great speed. There are many technologies, big, well-capitalized companies like Digital Equipment, Data General, Wang, Polaroid, Silicon Graphics, Control Data, Burroughs, many more. These companies were blown away by the kids who figured out personal computing. And now the same change is happening as phones become the hub instead of PCs. Look at the companies who were dominating phones just a few years ago. Microsoft laughed at the iPhone, and Nokia watched it all occur while sticking to their clamshell strategy, ignoring smartphone computers for just a few years. Meanwhile, all the customers' revenue and profits went to Apple, Samsung, and Google. Nokia might have another kick at the cat here as part of Microsoft and being led by Stephen Elop of Mac fame. When I was managing at Alias and Macromedia, everyone in high tech was scared to death of Microsoft. They had so much power, and they were rough and tumble. Every few months, some high-tech thugs would come to do a deal and would somehow mumble or tell us directly they were going to put us out of business. Funny family story. We have 3 boys within 14 months of each other. Our twins Carter and Riley are here. When they were about 4 or 5, in the morning they used to ask me why I was going to work. One time I said, because Bill Gates is trying to steal my money. So when I would come home, the boys would ask me if I still had my money. And they would come to my pants pocket and want to see the cash. You still got your money? Did Bill Gates get it? When they saw it, they'd be satisfied, and then we'd go play hockey in the hall. They felt the need for speed. They wanted to see the cash that day. Now, within 4 years of releasing the iPhone business of Apple was bigger and more profitable than Microsoft, entire Microsoft, 4 years. When somebody told me this at that time, I didn't believe them, and I went and looked at the numbers. In 4 years, Apple wrecked Nokia, BlackBerry, Microsoft Mobile, and scores of other firms. Sony was never even on the ice. Kodak, the leader in cameras for most of the last century, missed all the action. And these are just a few of the powerhouses that failed because of the need for speed. I spent my career in the technology industry, which used to be an independent vertical market, but isn't anymore. I happened into high tech by some weird bounces of the ball. Truth be told, I never really had a plan of any kind. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was graduating. I accepted a job with Honeywell as a computer sales trainee over another offer in brand management from Procter & Gamble because the hiring manager had a nicer suit. Really. That's how I ended up in high tech. You see, some of you may have a specific idea of what you want to do, and some of you may have none at all. Either can work. But you probably know enough about yourselves to know something about what is important to you. In my case, what I needed and wanted was maximum income. Now, some people have more altruistic goals when they're graduating, but that's how it was at that time for me. And then when I got a start, I just tried to be competent. I tried to know everything about my job and my customers. 5 years later, I got the opportunity to get into 3D computer graphics and had a great time doing that. I'm editing out some of my speech because it was already said. Macromedia was the leader in multimedia and authoring software for CD-ROMs, and I joined in '96 just as all the formats were changing. It was a very exciting time in Silicon Valley. In the first few weeks, I met with lots of people in the company to talk about the future. They all told me that the future was the internet, and then they'd go back and work on their CD-ROM project. So I just canceled them all. I remember employees asking me what they should work on then. And I told them to try to figure out what you couldn't do on the internet, like video and graphics, and build products that did that. Now, when you're creating new markets, you make lots of mistakes. Otherwise, you're probably not pushing hard enough. But fortunately, we did enough of the right things that we were purchased 10 years later by Adobe, and we got just slightly more than Molson's, which got bought during the same week. Us Canadians thought that was great. But I mentioned earlier that technology used to be a vertical market, but now it's permeated all industries and all disciplines. A colleague of mine who's a computer security firm CEO, he used to run McAfee, you probably all use the software, he recently joined the board of Delta Airlines. So I asked him, why would they want you on their board and why would you want to be on the board? He answered, back of the seats. The hardest thing about making a restaurant happen is getting people in the seats. And now you've got hundreds of captive people in your restaurant or your internet hub or your e-commerce whatever. And it's an entirely new business model. And that's why they wanted this high-tech guy on the board of an airline company. Every company in every industry and in every discipline need to be thinking about this and hiring great new talent with modern design sensibilities, like you folks. Marketing has moved from a creative guesswork game into a full science. If you're not sure to do what you want to do, I definitely give marketing a look. The game has changed there like CAD/CAM changed engineering in the 70s. And this is a great example of how the kids are now in charge. You folks all grew up engaging in completely new digital experiences. And now you can analyze advertising and marketing and find out exactly what's happening. There's an old CEO adage about the fact that half of advertising didn't work, but nobody knew which half. Well, that's gone. Now you can tell. Now you can tell immediately. You can analyze quantitatively what your customers respond to, and you can adjust with speed. Marketing is a new world now because of phones and the cloud and tablets and analytics and social. In finance, to feel the need for speed, look no further than high-speed trading. It's 40% of the volume. In accounting and risk management, look at the impact of everything being online and the challenges for any firm in any industry. Target wasn't a high-tech company until their recent security breach, but I'll bet you they're a lot more high-tech now. The venture capitalist who funded Facebook is on the board of Walmart. And you guys know much more in many of these areas than the people whose center is a PC, email, and a browser. The kids are in charge. And congratulations to your parents for timing that just right. Thank them and stay in touch with them. They had more to do with you being here today than you realize until you go through it yourself. Thank you, Ma. And thanks to my wife, Jane, for how she's driven the whole college thing and our whole lives with the boys. Most of all, I want to leave you with the message that the future is literally in your hands more than ever. The need for speed is happening. And in every industry, the new information architecture / way of living is disrupting everything. This doesn't mean you can't take a gap year. You can, but make it great. This is about the fact that everything in the international, corporate, education, and philanthropic world has to be rebuilt to compete. And you, ladies and gentlemen, are in position A. When you get a spot, feel the need for speed. You have the advantage. Be very, very competent and prosper. And good luck to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burgess, for those words of wisdom. It's rare that you're told that you're in the right place at the right time. And I think the challenges he's given you and the ideas he's given you are something you can think about over time and work with. So I just want to again thank him for those words, and hopefully the message has sunk in.
Dr. Patrick Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Madam Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees upon them, and I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable. May I also request that you confer the appropriate degrees in absentia upon all those candidates who have successfully completed the required course of study, but who are not present.
Graduands, by my authority and that of the McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit to those before me today and those in absentia to their individual degrees in McMaster University, with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations to all of you. Please be seated.
Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I may welcome you to the McMaster community of scholars.
Ladies and gentlemen, so that each graduate's name may be heard, it would be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduates, you would hold your collective applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Philosophy. John David Logerson. John A. Gilbert. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Business Administration. Walid Abdu. Holly Ackert. Akshay Anand. Melanie Lynn Bailey Cox. Laura Beatty. Tanveer Singh Bangu. Thomas Bailecki. Leslie Ann Helen Blakely. Scott A. Britton. Eric Brody. Hillary Frances Brown. Melanie Buckler. Lauren Burke. Neil Christopher Bussey. Alastair Thomas Robert Cartwright. Krista Faye Cassidy. Ruhani Chauhan. Honglen Chen. Seyin Chen. Shini Chen. Jing Chung. Stephen Cosby. Janella Coutinho. Hector Cueva. Linda Day. Adam Del Bello. Brian Thomas Davidson. Peter Dawkins. Emily Ann Deeth. Michael Di Giovanni. Zdravko Dimitrov. Andrew Wynn Doan. Carlos Eduardo Escalante. Christopher Ray Evans. Shozad Firasta. Nancy Victoria Folk. Greg Gable. Ramesh Gabriel. Bernardo Garzon. Chantal Gurilanda. Mark David Nicholas Grace. Jeffrey Gojan. Ping Guo. Robin Halbert. Carmen Ho. Edward Huang. Jennifer Ironside. Zara Jamshed. Muhammad Javarne. Zi Jiang. Shi Jiao. Ramanjit Kanda. Naveed Kanji. Waqas Ahmad Khan. Priya Kullar. Jonathan Clark. Serena Kirkajan. Shika Harish Lachmandas. Sadaf Ledak. Paul Legosniak. Emily Latourelle. Sean Lee. Jiaojing Li. Michael Lee. Jiaying Liao. Caitlin Margaret Lenk. Chen Liu. Tavis Ivan Lockheed. Andriana Lokish. James David Len. Lee Ma. Len Ma. Michelle Ann Maximowski. Tanya Malhotra. Wai Chen Mao. Morgan Marchant. Julia Mara Marco. Marybeth McCauley. Aziz I. Mammon. Neil Menezes. Soren Mixon. Michael Richard Milewski. Yajay Min. Mohammad Ghanem Mirza. Brian J. Morris. Jyoti Nanda. Naveed Nanwa. Jackie Ung. Melody Blessing Eng. Kun Ni. Nicholas Orford. Justin Osborne. Mayuri Parmagurunathan. Marianne Park. Mevan Pereira. Mark William Pericon. David Pinto. Mitchell Scott Pittaway. Matthew Alexander Prez. Ashmita Randhawa. Kaustubh Hemant Raut. Aaron Bruce Riley. Mavish Riaz. Shauna Lee Roche. Andrew Jonathan Rose. Baijan Ruan. Lindsay Sales. Najma Sakib. Umra Shahid. Ali Hashim Shakir. Michael Shan. Sabrina Sharman. Saqib Shirazi. Trevor Simpson. Anu Singh. Matt Smith. Peter Jerome Smith. Ben Song. Anthony Matthew Stremick. Jason Suchek. Hao Sun. Wen Yang Sung. Aaron Saz Gabor. Selena Jennifer Tao. Samuel Tharmaratnam. Jason Tome. Nicole Van Warmerdam. Jing Wang. Yatong Wang. Yiyu Wang. Xinyu Wei. Mark Alexander Whalen. Mark Edward Wilson. Matthew Willis. Angela Michelle Woolen. Chan Yin Xiao. Yu Chin Xie. Han Yan. Fuwen Yang. Sijia Yang. J. Michael Yaskovich. Lucy Chan. He Zhang. Linjing Zhang. Shiqing Zheng. Meng Zhao. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Health Management. Omar Abu Elela. Darlene Isabel Callan. Tabitha Johanna Carroll. Kimberly Jean Kasir. Diana Wen Su Cho. Wendy Janine Clark. Juliana French. Sean Gatsby. Jacqueline Jean Holzman. Anita Mary Lamond. Victoria Lynn Leck. Jennifer Elizabeth McKendrick Weber. Janine Michelle Marzak. John Gregory Martin. Lara Suzanne Osterreicher. John Prieto. Catherine Elaine Renault. Martin John Rouault. Lisa Ann Skratsky. Jody Lynn Taggart. Lisa Tinker.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Commerce Honors. Reem Abdoni, Melissa Akram, Saman Al-Rawi, Yusuf George Alam, Safa Abbas Al-Shamasi, Safir Andani, Catherine Rose Andrighetti, Shelby Thompson Annis, Roxandra Anton, Matthew Paul Armelin, Joshua Arsenault, Sukman Kaur Atwal, Jonathan O, Carly Gwen Axisa, Back Benjamin Baker, Michelle Lorraine Parker, Jonalyn Joy Baldovino, Maya Angelica Baluchak, Woo Hyuk Bang, Timothy Keith Berakloff, Jennifer Ann Bernhard, Napur Bhargava, Akila Bimji, Sonika Bogal, David Timothy Bigelow, Brandt Billoberg, Aaron Black, Alex Andrea Blair, Jeffrey David Blasuti, Michael Bukistin, Kevin Boland, Emilio Bonito, Sanpreet Boparai. Matthew Bork. Sarah Lynn Boynton. Peter Bozovic. Mason Brown. Hillary Ann Burt. Ziyi Kai. Michael Calderon. Wai-Ming Cao. Alex Capasso. Nicole Darlene Carson. Matthew Kafdar. Gabriela Cevallos. Amrit Chahal. Ernest Tsu-Chun Chan. Tsuyu Anthony Chow. Aksa Amjad Chaudhry. Hang Chen. Hanson Chen. Hennessy Cheng. Yi Tong Chen. Jonathan Cheong. Rani Cheong. Salvatore Shirelli. Fionn Choi. Kyle Chong. Matthew Thomas Chiardelli. Alisa Cetregno. Gabriel Zacharias Kolho. Shauna Conley. Christina Ashley Kaur. Caitlin Elizabeth Cox. Blair David Cunningham. Deanne DeMello. Randolph De Souza. Curtis Tyler Dexel. Colleen Daly. Richard Dam. Miljan Damjanovic. Kirsten Mackenzie Davison. Christina De Benedictis. Taryn Rian De Jong. Stephen De Jong. Teresa Marie De Souza. Alana Diwan. Andriana Djuric. Kirsten Dodi. Angela Dolber. Carissa Downer. Betty Duan. Nicole Marie Duffy. Joey Dong. Natalia Dabanova. Cody Alexander Eaton. Chris Edward. Amanda Evans. Ji Kai Fong. Stacy Fernandez. Jessica Fink. Kayla Fletcher. Michael Alexandra Forsyth. Kai Jun Fu. Ya Hui Gao. Joel George Jeffrey Gardner. Jeffrey Robert Jan Jifkins. Katie Giuliano. Julie Greatrix. Danielle Jordan Gregory. Mark Charles Hanhan. Noel Haroun. Michael David Harrington. Rihanna Hatzis. Valerie Ann Hawkins. Wai Shun He. Jyoti Hemlani. Natalie Ann Hennen. Megan Hans. Robbie Ho. Bradley James Hodgins. Jared Hodgson. Joel Jeffrey Hodgson. Michael Angelo Holditch. Brooke Carey Jean Halling. Hatim Hussein. Poi Man Ib. Michelangelo Italiano. Andrew Jana. Centaurin Jaganathan. Diane Yelich. Sabrina Jetmalani. J.G. Wanako Jagith Janadasa. Leanne Catherine Joette. Diana Idalia Juarez Marquez. Sebastian Adam Kaiser. Oscar Kahu. Ishan Kalra. Karan Karwal. Manpreet Kaur. Inji Kirekis. Ali Omar Khan. Saad Khan. Anish Kosa. Chantel Kilpatrick. Jasmine Claire. Shayamira Kojaraja. Kwan Shun Kwak. Stéphane Labrosse. Véronique Labrosse. Ismail Lacey. Regina Victoria Lagasson. Andy Lam. Jonathan Freddie Lang. Celestine Joel Lau. Madeline Lawler. Andrew Lee. Daphne Lee. Caroline Linart. Marie-Claude Leroux. Elise Lizon. Angie Lee. Chao Lee. Yiran Lee. Bowen Len. Colin Liu. Liu. Marcos Lorisant. Laura Loaiza. Blair Edward Davis Logan. Heather Ann Lopresti. Boting Lo. Hanjin Lu. Shijun Ma. Ayman Mahmoud. Donald Nathan Manicom. Tian Y. Mao. Rebecca Helen Martino. Stuart Hilliard Matson. Shannon Mayhew. Duncan John McCabe. Stephen McCartney. Sean Malcolm McCarroll. Katie McKinnon. Megan Elizabeth McKinnon. Kristen McMurdo. James McPherson. Solina Rachel Mendez. Cameron William Milligan. Thomas Lang Moffat. Justin Daniel Moros. Manmohanjeet Multani. Gregory John David Mumford. Ali Ghassan Nabou. Parisa Nadim Ka. Karanjit Nagra. Joseph Stephen Neese. Alex Noel. Mitchell Elliott Newman. Vivian Nye. Anthony Nguyen. Kevin Nguyen. Ruby Nguyen. Jacob Andrew Nemchek. Andrea Norris. Stephanie Liana Novelli. Jacqueline Elizabeth O'Mara. Michael O'Reilly. Kyle David Ostrander. Evan Palmer. Nina Bapuka. Ji-Young Park. Anna Basalik. Shyam Patel. Pawan Paul. Kristen Ann Perkin. Julia Nicole Piccioni. Maxwell Planck. Kyle Pokaluku. Sasa Popic. Stefana Prodia. Cici Chen. Farhan Kwazi. Mary Catherine Quintieri. Adil Korishi. Diana Radic. Sitara Rahimian. Khalil Rajan. Erika Kathleen Rasmussen. Laura Marie Rotrink. Milka Ransovic. Emil Hussam Emil Salsa. Banvit Sambi. Cora Sardo. Christopher Schmidt. Kate Seagrove. Pranit Shah. Zareen Shaikh. Yunyon Shan. Nadine Natalie Nicole Shantz. Tina Sharifi. Chian Shen. Nipendra Shrestha. Brian So. Anthony Nicholas Soares. Mustafa Suleiman. Carmen Anthony Spadafora. Sean Morley St. Cyr. Vincent Paul Stalteri. Alexandra Staweka Lasina. Brennan Elisa Stoller. Caitlin E. Stroud. Ji Ching Swen. Greg Sun. Saif Tadros. Ji Yuen Tang. Verda Tariq. Julia Dominica Taylor. Jason Thala Joel. Tarashna Tharma Kumar. Tarsika Thavaraja. Sheba Thomas. Conrad Thompson. Matthew Robert Thompson. Michael Tian. Anumit Tour. Alma Torik. Stephen Tran. Yu Man Sang. Derek Chowi. Victoria Janina Tomasovic. Justin Michael Vanderie. Kyle Vanderveen. Luke Varasso. Matthew Vitakovic. Leslie Ann Walker. Can Wang. Fei Wang. Hao Wang. Ling Ling Wang. Ping Wang. Shu Wang. Manlovideep Singh Marval. Whitney Weber. Sean James Morrow Worth. Christopher Daniel White. Nicholas Alexander Whitford. Mary Wilson Matthews. Jordan Winger. Andrew Daniel Walter. Hoi Ching Holly Wang, Edison Wu, Daisy Aiden Wright, Natalie Wu, Li Yangchun Chiang, Leng Xiu Xu, Shen Mai Shu, Wai Xuan Shu, Andrew Young, Stephen Yu, Aynun Zaria, Haizhenju Zheng, Qi Zhang, Noya Jessica Zhang, Yui Zhang, Xiaoying Zhao, Meng Yuan Zhao, Zicheng Zhao, Jun Zhu, Yi Zhu, Jeff Zylik. Congratulations. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Commerce. Gabriel Anthony Cheeky. Xiao Chao Deng. Tiffany Eakin. Murad Ghunaim. Salman Hamid. Christy Danielle Losk. Tamiza Murji.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce to you Ms. Michael Forsyth, a graduate of the Bachelor of Commerce Honors Program, who will be delivering the valedictory address.
To our families, friends, and faculty, thank you all for being here. Thank you for helping to shape us into the individuals we are today. And thank you for allowing us to flourish as we reach this pinnacle moment in our lives. to my fellow graduates. Here we are, a little wide-eyed, as we have successfully completed our university education, a huge chapter in our lives. Who knew it was possible? Despite the feelings of doubt, stress, and back-to-back weekend midterms, here we are. And aren't we much stronger and wiser because of it? Our learnings and mistakes have guided us to where we are today. And through our moments of despair, there were equally, if not more, moments of excitement, laughter, and gratification. In reflecting upon our educational journey, there are two critical lessons that I have learned throughout my university experience that I would like to share with you all. The first of which revolves around passion, and the second on collaboration. The power of these two themes are instrumental in business and life success, as both lead to innovation, ingenuity, and positive outcomes. The first lesson: we must find what we are passionate about, what sparks a strong emotional reaction within us. Some of us have been lucky enough to have found that within the DeGroote and McMaster community, in the classroom, extracurricular activities, or through experiential learning initiatives. If we think back to our very first steps onto the university campus as a, quite honestly, terrified, awkward, and naive first-year student, we can begin to recall all of the opportunities that have come our way along this journey to find what speaks to us. I hope that regardless of the medium, each of you have experienced those moments of passion that have enriched your time at McMaster. I wish to share with you a quotation that holds very true to my heart. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. We are all geniuses, but it may take us some time to determine how genius takes its shape in each of us. For myself, it didn't take too long to realize that accounting was not my genius. But that's okay, and kudos to those that it is. Now, let's think back to those moments of passion, your unrelenting desire to accomplish something successfully. Pursue those moments, and do not settle for anything less. That will lead you to your genius. As we embark on our careers, we cannot forget that we must be happy and inspired by the path we choose to venture. We must have a hunger to ask questions, seek change, and do this with a sense of integrity, responsibility, and purpose. Besides, wouldn't it be boring to be typecast into a role that you did not absolutely adore? The second lesson I would like to share with you is the importance of collaboration, defined, of course, as something created by working jointly with others. It fosters on creative thinking, being inquisitive, and pushing beyond boundaries. I do believe that this is something we've all discovered through our time at DeGroote, whether it was in our very first group project with Rita Cosa in Commerce 1E03 that we barely made it through, to our policy capstone in Commerce 4PA3. Think of how much better you've become at being a team member, at being a leader, at being a partner. The thought of feeding off of each other to produce results that you yourself did not know were possible is the true value of collaboration. As we move forward, we have to acknowledge our presence as a member of a larger community. We now have a sense of duty to carry the McMaster and DeGroote name with pride. And if we don't view the world as a shared space, then the world around us cannot benefit from our individual successes. Through several initiatives in the DeGroote community, it is evident that value creation is what truly makes us profitable. This is what we must propel forward through our collaborative efforts. So, fellow graduates, or future business leaders, find your passion, and settle for nothing less. But do so in a manner that thrives off of the spirit of others. Alone, we may accomplish a lot, but together, we can drive positive change. Passion, when combined with collaboration, leads to genuine innovation. These lessons have been critical to our growth over the past 4 or 5 years, and we must remember these lessons as we launch ourselves into the next 4 or even 40. So as you continue on to the next chapter of your lives, please remember to take risks and understand that the unknown is exciting. Change is inevitable, but to become change agents is an incredible feat that is possible if we reach beyond our expectations. Through unbridled passion and positive collaboration, we, together, will be successful. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2014. Thank you.
I would like to introduce the Dean of the DeGroote School of Business, Dr. Leonard Waverman, who will present several awards to the DeGroote School of Business graduates.
Actually, all the graduates have an award of excellence for finishing the degrees you've done. It took passion. Listen to Michael and listen to Rob. You have a great future in front of you. Welcome to DeGroote. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present the DM Mike Hedden Gold Medal for Outstanding Academic Achievements in the MBA program. It is with great pleasure that I announce the first of 2 winners, Mark Wilson. It is with great pleasure that I announce the second winner of the DM Mike Hedden Gold Medal, Peter Dawkins.
Congratulations, very well done.
I would now like to present the R.J. Spence Memorial Medal for Outstanding Academic Achievements in the MBA Finance Specialization. I'm pleased to announce that the winner is Peter Dawkins. I would like to present the Basu Medal for Outstanding Academic Achievements in the MBA Accounting and Financial Management Services Specialization. It is with great pleasure that I announce that the winner is Edward Wang. Photographers always take 5 shots, right? I would like to present the Litvak Medal in Marketing for Outstanding Academic Achievements in the MBA Strategic Marketing Specialization. I am pleased to announce that the winner is Lindsay Sales. Sales gets the marketing degree award. Wow. I would like to present the Alan J. Grieve St. Joseph's Healthcare Medal for outstanding academic achievements in the MBA Health Services Management specialization. I am really happy to announce that the winner is Melody Ng. I would like to present the E.H. Ambrose Gold Medal for Outstanding Academic Achievements in the Commerce Program. It was a great pleasure. They announced that the winner is Alana Dawin. I would like to present the Bazoo Medal for Outstanding Academic Achievements in Accounting. I'm happy to announce that the winner is Matthew Chiardelli.
I would now like to introduce Ms. Karen McQuigg from the McMaster Alumni Association, who will deliver the Alumni Association address.
Chancellor Labarge, President Dean, McMaster faculty, fellow alumni, honored guests, and members of the McMaster class of 2014. As newly minted graduates, you'll probably remember your final exam quite clearly. You might even recall some of the facts and figures you studied the night before. The only thing I remember about my last exam is how I felt walking away. I felt light. The obligations and responsibilities of my student years were done. Then not too long after that, I realized I had also walked away from a network of relationships, locations, and routines that had effectively defined my life. That was when I knew I wanted to connect with McMaster again. This time, not as a student, but as an alumna. And then I got really lucky and became the alumni director at Mac. Some of you here today may never re-engage with your alma mater after convocation, and that's fine. But for the vast majority of you, McMaster will continue to be a part of your lives, and the McMaster Alumni Association is there to help you. We can help you stay connected with friends and classmates, find opportunities for volunteering or philanthropy, or help you recapture the sense of community that is so much a part of the McMaster student experience. We also put the McMaster family to work in helping you achieve your post-graduation goals. The McMaster Alumni Association created our multifaceted Mac 10 Young Alumni program specifically to meet the needs of alumni like you. With 4 very different programming streams, there truly is something for everyone. The Mac 10 Professional program offers a year-round schedule of events and workshops, both conducted online or in person, to support alumni in job search mode or alumni looking to progress in their careers. There's also Mac 10 Social there's also Mac 10 Social for social events in Hamilton, Burlington, Toronto, and beyond, as well as Mac 10 Intellectual for informative continuing education styles, events, and activities. And finally, Mac 10 Giving builds on the social awareness that's such an important aspect of the McMaster student experience, providing interesting opportunities for both community service and philanthropy. So somewhere in those 4 streams, you'll find something for you. Accessing our alumni career coach, participating in our job finding boot camp, or taking part in our job search essentials e-course. You might even participate in events and activities based around social justice, mentorship for entrepreneurs, classical music, days of service, movie nights, grad school prep, pottery classes, cooking events, canoe tours, and even golf lessons, and that's just our Young Alumni program. When you get a chance, visit alumni.mcmaster.ca, watch your mailbox for your alumni magazine, the McMaster Times, or connect with the association through all the usual social media avenues. Or you could actually just read the Convocation booklet you received today as you exited the stage. If you do, you'll find out what a family of more than 170,000 worldwide MAC alumni can do for you. From casual users of our social media up to being highly engaged volunteers, there's a place for all of you in the McMaster Alumni Association. To the class of 2014, we celebrate your successes as students and toast the promise of your future as alumni. Your fellow MAC grads are proud to welcome you to the McMaster alumni family. And I hope you'll be like Bruce McLean. Bruce is our oldest living graduate from the class of 1933, which makes him a very spry 103. And as an aside, Bruce still golfs 3 times a week. I had the privilege of spending time with him and others like him from the classes of 1944, 1949, 1954, 1959, and 1964 on Saturday at Alumni Reunion Day. The tie that binds all of us, from Bruce to you and to me, is the love of our alma mater. I hope MAC will always be a part of your life. Best wishes as you embark on your new journey.
May I invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver his President's Address.
Well, thank you very much. You've heard a great deal of wisdom from this podium this evening, and I hope to leave you with some further thoughts as you set out from the university. In April 1967, at more or less the midpoint in the Vietnam War, Martin Luther King Jr. spoke at Riverside Church in New York City, outlining the need for what he called a radical revolution of values. This is what he said: "We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers' profit motives and property rights are considered more important than people," he said, "the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered." Then nearly a quarter of a century later, in 1989, with the Vietnam War over, yet countless new conflicts underway and global inequities undiminished, Bill McKibben, in a book called The End of Nature, drew attention to the ecological impact of our increasing orientation to things and unprincipled embrace of the machine. And this assertion of human power, he was later to identify, paradoxically, as evidence of our dehumanization, of our failure to make the shift towards what King characterized as a person-oriented society. And in his 7th book, called Enough, of 2003, McKibben offered advice for staying human in an engineered age. That was the subtitle, Staying Human in an Engineered Age. How are we to understand that last phrase? It is certainly not intended to disparage engineers or the work they do, but it is connected to the way in which that work is sometimes viewed, and often not by engineers themselves. An engineered age, I take to be McKibben's term for an era intoxicated with technology for its own sake, or one built on the assumption that human progress and technological advance are congruent, if not one and the same thing. I think it also refers to one aspect of our culture with roots deep in the 18th and 19th centuries. The Industrial Revolution, economist Douglas Allen asserted recently, effected a fundamental shift in our human institutions, away from those regulated by social values such as trust and custom, and towards a regime built around measurement and the removal of randomness in outcomes. Whatever considerable good such a regime brought with it, it brought also danger. As life became more predictable and controlled, the potentially anarchic force of nature played a smaller role. The noisiness of the various inputs and the individual contributions of nature and people was steadily suppressed, these are Allen's words, to facilitate an outcome engineered in the sense that it was planned controlled, and importantly, measurable. Now, a colleague recently drew my attention to an amusing article in the New York Times. Under the title, "The United States of Metrics," author Bruce Feiler explored our contemporary obsession with quantitative measurement. And as an indication that things have gone too far, probably, Feiler pointed to an app called Spreadsheets, which uses body sensors, accelerometers, and smartphone microphones to monitor almost every quantifiable detail of its owner's sexual activity. Not apparently, so the proposers say, for creepy purposes, but so that this information can be rolled up into a comprehensive database documenting sexual practice across the United States. We are awash in numbers, writes Feiler. Data is everywhere, and old-fashioned things like words are in retreat. Numbers are on the rise. Unquantifiable arenas like history, literature, religion, and the arts are receding from public life, replaced by technology, statistics, science, and math. These are Feiler's words. And he says even the most elemental form of communication, the story, is being pushed aside by the list. So ponder the Spreadsheets app. What is the point of it? Will vast aggregations of data about human sexuality ever capture the story of attraction, love, and lust? And if not, where does the process lead us? To the replacement of sex with huge amounts of evidence for hypothesizing about it? What kind of knowledge will Spreadsheets provide about the most profound human instinct? Now, McKibben asserts quite reasonably that if we are to retain or regain our humanity, the displacement of unruly nature by orderly lists, and all these they symbolize in technology, commerce, indeed the full range of contemporary life, cannot continue indefinitely. That is the simple message of his book title, Enough. And it restates remotely in time and within a different complex of anxieties the message of Martin Luther King. At the heart of what McKibben has to say about staying human in an engineered age is our capacity, indeed our obligation, to choose what technologies shall be embraced, and what rejected, and to do so in accordance with values that strengthen rather than displace our humanity. It is imperative, in short, that humanity ultimately prevail over mere numbers. But as Bruce Feiler's article brought home to me, it's by no means certain that here in North America, in the second decade of the 21st century, we human beings know well enough what is good for us and enriching to our humanity. It took no less a mind than Albert Einstein to observe this: not everything that matters can be measured, and not everything that can be measured matters. And apparently our culture has found this message about as difficult to assimilate as the mathematics of general relativity. There are, however, some signs that may be encouraging. Pondering obsessively and with some puzzlement the disappointing outcomes of their hyper-engineered economies, governments across the developed world are beginning to ask whether the exclusion of randomness, of trust and custom has really been to the good. And not for the first time, the Canadian Council of Chief Executives, which includes CEOs of 150 major Canadian corporations, has seen fit to indicate publicly that it is educated human beings, rather than technically expert list makers, who hold the key to leadership and success. A survey of the Canadian Council members released this past January showed that in evaluating prospective new hires today, corporations tend, this is a direct quote from the report, to emphasize soft skills, also known somewhat problematically to me as non-cognitive skills, over hard skills. The soft skills most often listed by respondents included people skills and relationship building, communication skills, problem-solving skills, analytical abilities, and leadership skills. Now, whether this message has penetrated all the way through the companies led by council members is certainly questionable. But there is some confirmation in the 2013 Campus Recruitment and Benchmark Survey that while hard skills are still not exactly devalued by corporations, the emphasis today is on finding the appropriate mix of hard and soft skills, on rehumanizing the workplace by readmitting to it the noisiness of subjectivity, intuition, and custom. Proponents of this approach sometimes imply that the paradoxical outcome of such rehumanization will be a more precisely engineered result. But who, with a real and lived understanding of the disruptive potential of the non-cognitive, would ever believe that? Undoubtedly, the result will be better in the sense of being more authentic and meaningful, but probably not in any way that is fully measurable. And as the pendulum swings, we will have to rediscover other means and modes of assessment. It was recently reported in the Wall Street Journal that at business schools in the United States and Great Britain, quote, the philosophy department is invading the MBA program. The global financial crisis has sparked efforts to train students to think beyond the bottom line, with courses on subjects such as why capitalism and thinking about thinking. These institutions now see a need for their business students to read Plato, Marx, and Kant. As one student puts it, to know why we're doing what we're doing. At a much broader level, a national commission in the United States has issued a report proclaiming that those unquantifiable arenas like history, literature, religion, and the arts, which Phyla observed are receding from public life, are essential for a vibrant, competitive, and secure nation. This rehumanizing of institutions, of economic, educational, and governmental institutions, may be argued to be a luxury available only to wealthy nations, where technology is today far more than enough for our survival. And there's certainly some force to that point. Certainly, it is in Europe and North America that we are seeing the human dimension reasserted against the technocratic, as if in those cultures it is at last becoming obvious that you can have too much of a good thing. At the London School of Business, for example, students are offered a course in Nobel thinking, which may not serve to make them Nobel Prize winners, but is intended to help them understand the sources and processes of transformative insight. I confess I'm somewhat troubled by the ghettoizing of this within a single course, as if one merely needs to have taken the course to become an effective or Nobel League big-picture thinker. It would be more encouraging if the corrosive yet constructive influence of critical inquiry and reflection was suffused throughout the curriculum. But one is grateful for this nevertheless, as one is for other courses from business schools around the world, Modernity and the Holocaust, and On Humor at the Copenhagen Business School, and Conceptual Foundations in Strategic Thought, a wide-ranging course including a great deal of major literary works at the McMaster School of Business in Georgetown. Last year saw the appearance of a report to the European Commission on improving the quality of teaching and learning in Europe's higher education institutions, a document remarkable for its powerfully human underpinnings. It's not without irony that the process of modernization is in this instance understood to mean not increasing subservience to an industrial model, but rather a return to what Phyla would call words and stories, a rediscovery of the unquantifiable. And interestingly, this coming November in the Netherlands, the global network of research-intensive universities will meet to frame and endorse a statement on the fundamental importance and relevance of the humanities to all areas of study, and by extension to the project of building and advancing a global civil community that is democratic and dedicated to the greater good of all humanity and of the planet which supports us. As a member of that global network, McMaster will be represented there, appropriately, as our commitment to humane and enlightened learning and research in all fields, from health to science to business to religion to labor, goes back over 125 years. Perhaps because of that tradition, at this university we have to a certain extent been successful in resisting full conscription into the engineered age. Notwithstanding the path towards high achievement in science and technology, on which President Harry Thode set us beginning in the 1950s, the signal achievements of our subsequent history have arisen from a profoundly humanistic vision, perhaps the most notable instance being the founding of the McMaster Medical School 48 years ago, in 1966. A unique and unprecedented experiment at the time, and one probably still unsurpassed for its global influence, the medical school was the child of exactly the sort of speculative intelligence and interrogation of received wisdom that you had hoped to acquire in a course on Nobel thinking. And notwithstanding its increasing commitment to evidence-based practice, the medical school placed people, humans, before numbers. It focused less on bodies, on the pathology of bodies and traditional notions of medical education, than on people, those who require care, those who would provide it, and on the best kind of interaction between the two. And more recently, the same approach has led the school into a more forthright embrace of the arts and the non-cognitive as a critical part of a good medical education. We now have a visual literacy program for medical students, which is taught in the McMaster Museum of Art. And this re-engagement with humanistic considerations is not confined to medicine. This past year saw exciting collaborations between engineering and visual arts students. And in the DeGroote School of Business, discussions are moving ahead with considerable momentum on a program which integrates business education with liberal learning. Heartened though we should be by every indication that humanistic considerations, those unquantifiable arenas, are now being admitted to the calculus of productivity and innovation, there is great danger in thinking that so long as students in business, medicine, or engineering are being required to take a humanities course, we have taken up and properly discharged the challenge issued to us by Martin Luther King so long ago. The project which Dr. King opened and which Bill McKibben's writing reminds us still lies ahead is this: to reconsider always the values which our society seems to accept as obvious and unchangeable, to ask about the value of those values, whether they are comprehensive, what they facilitate, what they foreclose, what kind of world they establish, and what kind of world they destroy. What matters besides what can be measured? And what is the relationship of the quantifiable to the unquantifiable? Those of us who are products of a humanities education are used to pondering such questions for sure, and we will talk about them perhaps too readily. But we do not have a monopoly of wisdom on this matter. For that which makes us all human is not only that which can't be quantified. While the ability to work with words, images, and music is an important, perhaps even a defining component of our humanity, it is nevertheless only a component. What we do with numbers, what we build, what we do in the teeth of nature, in treating a disease, for example, all of this is also intrinsic to our humanity. In order to be human in an engineered age, we have to avoid false binaries. If McKibben is correct and the love of technology and a technocratic mindset is carrying all of us and our planet towards disaster, it would be a grave mistake to swing to the opposite extreme and insist that all those things Filer noted have been receding from public life, history, literature, religion, and so on, should in their turn displace and efface those things that are presently ascendant: technology, statistics, science, and so on. As graduates, you're all leaving university with an education tilted, I hope only slightly, towards one or the other of these extremes. That is as it should be. The world needs highly specialized minds as well as broadly cultivated ones. It needs brilliant engineers as much as it needs gifted painters and writers. It needs astute business minds as much as it needs passionate social workers. And it needs technology as much as it needs an ongoing and astute critique of technology. But whichever way your background, temperament, educational and career choices have made you lean, my parting advice to you is to remember your humanity, to understand it is something not just there for your use and for exploitation during a lifetime, but is something you have to constantly negotiate. There's a discussion you have to be part of about how we want to organize our world, how we need to partner with and understand each other, and our place in the physical universe. The conduct of that discussion may seem like the exclusive preserve of the philosophy seminar, but it must engage every one of us every day, whether we're technology boffins or international development workers. Unless you are a part of it, the answers to the big questions in all of your fields and in your personal lives will forever elude you. For now, go away and consider the evidence that we might live in a dehumanized age. And as you leave this hall today, remember Bill McKibben's one word that you can throw up in your defense: enough. And in the pause which follows, no matter towards what career you tend when you leave here, ponder what role you would like to play, not only within the technical confines and the discourse of your chosen field, but in the full and the glorious project of our shared humanity. My very best wishes go with you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to the class of 2014. I myself am a McMaster alumna, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you all go from here. Dr. Burgess, congratulations on your accomplishments. It's always with a feeling of pride and a great deal of pleasure that we get to honor an alumnus who has been so successful in his business career and has contributed so much to our society. And it's just very, very much of a pleasure to be able to see that. And as Ms. McQuigg eloquently said, you're all now graduates and members of this wonderful group of alumni. A couple of people have mentioned today the families that have supported you to help you get here. Well, you're now part of another family, which is the McMaster Alumni Group, and you can rely on them as you go forward to provide you with support, either to help you launch yourself forward or as a shoulder to lean on, and you should use it effectively. Dr. Dean, you've given us an awful lot to think about. What has struck me as all of our speakers talked today is that as you move through this world at a very fast pace, using the technology that your generation has been able to master, that you've got to take time, as your valedictorian says, to think about those you collaborate with. And as Dr. Dean said, to look at the wider world, to remember who you are as a person and to become what you can as a person. And there's a lot more that has been said by all three of them, and I would like you to take those wise words and think about them as you go from here. My very best wishes to all of you. I just have a couple of housekeeping items to tell you about before we close. Immediately following Convocation, a reception will be held for the business graduates and their guests in the Hamilton Convention Center, Wentworth Room C. Flowers that have been delivered for graduates will be available at the coat check in the main lobby. We're going to stand for the singing of the national anthem. I would ask that you remain standing at your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. So if you will now stand and join me in the singing of our national anthem. And after the singing of the national anthem, this convocation stands adjourned.
Canada, our home and native land. you.